Welcome to the greatest of the greatest. A podcast that you never knew you needed. With interviews from people you have never met, or maybe you have once or twice. Asking questions and knowing more than you want to know about them. You are listening to Full Buddy Cast.
All right, everyone, thanks so much for listening to another episode of Full Buddy Cast. Full Buddy Cast, this is a little special episode, the Husky football coming up here with the national championship title on the line. So I've got two of my favorite Husky fans that are in here. I'm a Husky. I'm a well-known Husky. Whoever's in a game, but I pull for the Huskies over the Cougars in the Apple Cup. Unless I'm with Joey, then I'm obviously with Cougar. But I can't talk on this. In fact, Kyle's probably ready to walk out, and Tyson's wondering why he's here. But before we get into
this podcast brought to you by Gamblin' Motors.
Gamblin' Motors. and Regents Hospital with me and Kyle.
Franciscan urgent care.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to get this cough from you guys.
Yeah, it's going to be good for you. That's so bad. Guys, me and Kyle are done, just so you guys know. First off, go hit up Cole Street Brewery. Watch this game at Cole Street Brewery, 1627 Cole Street. Take yourself in there, get 15% off your drinks. Sean's got like 5 or 6 TVs set up there. If you want to be funny and cool, take your socks off and your shoes off and take a picture of your bare feet in front of the TV sets and send it to me.
This podcast brought to you by footfinder.com.
And then go to Bordeaux Wine Bar at some point. Take yourself in, get $2 off your first drink or flight. Just got to show your waiter and maybe let them know. There's so many people that work there that don't know about Full Buddy Cast, but that's okay. And then Mazatlan, Andy Cardenas definitely knows about Full Buddy Cast. Go say hi to him. Give him a little hug, a little squeeze, and he'll give you a little hookup on the old Mazatlan meal if you mention Full Buddy Cast to him. Also going to shout out the Patreons. Kellen Hall fell off, but I think it's because of an issue, and I will have to hit him up. Not a personal issue with anything. Probably an expired card is my guess. He's been the longest running Patreon subscriber for Full Buddy Cast. So I've got Holly Graff, Adam Kenny Art, Seth Loop, Cassie Spencer, Amanda Keating, Shekinah Sarver, Jared Skelly, Homer Robertson, Ben Elman, Jamie Roberts, Jamie Kenny, Apollo Doodle, Jackson Sidehook, Sasha Curry Lynn, Thomas Savageau, Councilman Anthony Wright, Cameron Stratton, Katry Hoban, Homer Robertson, Homer the Vet, and Jackie Van Hoof / Jackie Galvin.
Some good names in there.
Yeah. That's like an all-star. That's a Pro Bowl roster right there.
Yeah.
Seth, I listened to your episode. Good to hear that you're doing good.
Yes, absolutely. Seth, a few
I did not bring notes.
Back.
2 pages of them.
Yeah, he's got them right there, next to you.
Yes.
He
left them right here.
Yes, he did.
Let's go through them again.
We can read it real quick, but we won't. All right, so we've got Kyle Pierce, Husky fan since
1984.
Oh, born a Husky fan. And Tyson Gamblin, Husky fan since?
What was the first year of Sark? Was it 2010?
I
I think it was. But I married into a Husky family. My wife's uncles all played. One of her uncles played in the NFL, so they are diehard Husky fans. So, but when Sarkisian became the head coach, I became a Husky fan.
think it was 2009.
Yeah,
It was 2008. We went winless.
Yeah, so it was after the Tyrone Willingham days, and then when Sark came on board, I became a Husky fan.
So was it weird?
So I feel like I mean, I went through the doldrums a little bit. Becoming a fan of a team that went winless is, I think I earned it. It's not like I'm, Now, if you ask me about my soccer team, Manchester City, it's like me picking like the Yankees or like, like when they're rolling and they just buy everyone. Yeah. I'm a fair weather fan in that regards, but
me too with the Huskies. I love the Huskies. So always been Steve Entman, Billy Joe Hobart, Billy Joe Tolliver, Billy Joe Bob.
Yeah. Just stop.
Big man.
Chico Fraley, Jaime Fields.
I could name
Shane
I could name
Pawakoa,
Mario Bailey,
Ed Cunningham,
Rex Chapman.
Unsubscribe.
But yeah, I'm surprised you're not on that Patreon list. You should be. You should be, Kyle. You
On
should.
the Patreon list?
Yeah, you should be at least $5. That's okay.
Carter would be pissed. She wouldn't be able to do gymnastics.
That's true, dude. Gymnastics.
Yeah, peak gymnastics. It's
expensive.
What? I need you sound like you're eating a Werther's original right now. You're just saying we're a national championship. We're one game. You were a stockbroker yesterday.
yeah. I was.
Did you wear yourself out?
Yeah, oh man, I don't know if I want to go into details, but of course, there's a group of guys that we've always gone to an away game every year, and we've gone to some pretty cool places and stuff like that, and done some fun trips, and we knew all along that we had tickets. We had through the the season ticket holders, so I had my ticket all reserved, and my wife can't watch the final 2 plays of the last game, and so I look at her and it's like, all right, well, it looks like I'm going to Houston. And she goes, well, I want to go. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
all right. And she goes, my dad's turned 70 and he wants to go. And I'm like, oh, great. Here we go. And then it's like, are you in? Are you in? You got to find a ticket. I already got a ticket. And so she started going through her whole family Rolodex of finding people. And my wife's family is pretty interesting because we
Do I have to cut any of this?
No, it's pretty interesting because it's massive. It's a massive family.
Oh, okay.
So her grandfather was born in Norway. They immigrated into the United States. Then they settled in Kent, and there's I think 12 of them, and they all live in the area. And so every Christmas we have this big old Norwegian lutefisk dinner. And if you ever had lutefisk,
How's that, by the way?
I mean, it is awful. It's like a badge of honor. You try
But
it
you get-
once. I mean, it is so bad.
But you get lefse.
Yeah,
Lefse is kind of the bounce
yeah,
back.
but I mean, lutefisk is brutal, dude.
Yeah.
It is
It all
brutal.
sounds awful.
But anyways, we always meet in Lake Meridian, and there are literally it's a house full. Like you're eating in bedrooms and laundry rooms. I mean, people are just stacked on top of each other. It's awesome, and I married into a big Husky family. I mean, they are diehard Husky fans. And so anyways, long story short, my wife finds someone that has 2 tickets that they're not going to take, and so she buys them for face value. And then it became the flight search, and boy, oh boy, that was literally it was like watching the stock market when a stock's rising, literally from watching flights, and Alaska's dropping flights throughout the day, and you're like, oh yes, I'm gonna get on this flight, and then all of a sudden you pick your seat and you get everything, and it's gone, and so and then it's I don't know if I want to get hepatitis C and B by flying Spirit Air and having a 24-hour layover in Las Vegas.
Well, you're in a podcast room with us two, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean,
You'll
seriously.
fit in.
So, anyways,
Mine's only bronchitis. Don't worry about it.
Mine too. I'm claiming that.
but I'll give you my big vent. My big vent was Alaska Airlines. I couldn't. They wouldn't allow you to use miles on any of these flights.
Seriously?
Yeah, it was,
And they kept dropping. Why were they dropping them and not adding them?
well, they were adding flights because throughout the day, I think I saw them tweet out that they added 1,700
Dude,
seats.
SeaTac is going to be insane.
So, yeah, so luckily I scored on a United flight. They dropped a United flight going home. So I literally found the United flight, a direct flight Tuesday home, for pretty reasonable. And I just bought my ticket, my wife's ticket. I didn't even had gotten her ticket yet.
What's reasonable?
It was $400 a person.
Dang, I paid more for my ticket to Palm Springs.
But
Round trip?
that's one way. That was one way.
okay.
So but anyways, but if you do a Google Flights search now, it's $1,500, $1,600 to $2,000.
Good score.
Yeah, it was score. I use my first credit card ever was a Southwest Airlines credit card. I don't know why I even have it.
Just for this reason.
Oh, exactly. I had end up using some Southwest points, and yeah. So but the best part of it is I'm going to drop some names here, but we're going with my crew of guys.
Yeah,
So
drop 'em.
you're going to get Tom Culver, Chris Culver. You have
Epi?
Epperson's going to be there.
Wow.
Bo's going to be there.
Wow.
Jake's going to be there. So it's a big group of guys.
But they all got tickets.
So yeah, because they're all
that's
season
right,
tickets
that's
holders.
right.
But we're running a house. So guess
It's
who?
all the boys.
And my wife
Oh,
and my father-in-law.
Oh, boy.
So
Might as well just put them up somewhere.
Yeah, you would pay for an extra hotel. You guys just go.
But the thing is,
Yeah.
it's a business trip.
Holiday Inn Express.
Literally, we fly in Sunday night. We land at 5 or 6, and then the game is Monday. and then we fly home Tuesday at noon. So it's like, I don't know if I'm going to sleep. Like, I mean, I don't know if I don't.
You ain't sleeping.
I don't know if I'm with Eric, so it's like
no, you're not
it's
sleeping.
Like, and like I've already texted everyone on the group that like I volunteer as tribute for Sunday night, where I will let Eric feed on me all night.
Mm-hmm.
So if any of you guys have ever seen the TV show what they do in the shadows, where you have the vampires, but then you have Colin Robinson, which is an energy vampire. Eric is an energy vampire.
Yeah. I've gone on a trip with him. Yes.
Oh yeah,
he's fun.
No, me too.
He's fun.
I love sitting next to him playing poker.
But he is constant.
It just sucks you dry. I mean, we just had our 20-year class reunion, and my wife and kids were out of town during that weekend. So of course, me and Eric walked back, and like my wife's like, "How'd it go?" Then I was like, "I don't know." Eric, it's like it's go to like you end up getting back. And he puts on a TV show, and then like he just wears you down, and the next thing you know, you're like, I can't do this anymore, and you can't even make it to your bed. You fall asleep on the couch.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Epi's still down on the couch with a half bottle of vodka still to drink.
Oh man!
So yeah, I'm really really excited to go. I'm pretty fortunate and lucky, and it's the last national championship has, been 30 plus years. So
yeah. And then on top of that, it's our last Pac-12 ish.
Yeah. I mean, I might as well make fun of, like, I love how the Cougars think that they're going to get all these Pac-12 rights after all this. And so whatever, that they're going to have some kind of ownership of us winning a natty.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it's like, whatever, guys. Have fun in the Mountain West. Which I'm like, for the record, though, I still think is the biggest. I feel so bad for Oregon State and WSU. Like, and I'm a huge fan of just football and Washington football from Eastern to Central to WSU. And I do feel like they just got a terrible shake. I mean, it is such a bad deal, and it's a program killer. I mean, like the money they're going to lose, it really really is sad. It really is, and it makes me sad. Because at the same time, I'm a Husky fan, but I'm not a diehard Husky fan where I hate the Cougars. Like I will root for the Cougars 99% of the time.
Oregon,
completely different.
Yeah.
If there's any way that we could just like call it Al Qaeda and drop a bomb on Eugene,
Yes.
I might
The whole
be a
state,
supporter of that.
the whole state.
I like the Beavers.
I like the Beavers too, but I mean, if you got to sacrifice the whole state to get rid of the Ducks,
Yeah, well,
Stanford, USC, or Cal, or UCLA. Who's your favorite?
out of the four, probably USC.
I'm an SC guy. The thing is, you got to remember, like when we grow up, like in the peak of our like kind of like when cable TV really got into the gear, and like you gotta remember, like in the 90s, it was tough. Like you didn't have ESPN. I didn't have ESPN.
Yeah, Fox Sports Network
And Como.
FSN.
But the thing is but USC was the hot team, and Pete Carroll was fun, and he got some cool recruits. And
Scal was down there during the time
yeah,
of
I mean,
basketball.
SC was just, and my brother was a diehard SC fan, so he knew like
still is.
He just knew all the players. Like he knew, like, I mean, still to this day, he wanted to name his first child Darnell, which I don't know if that was really after Darnell being a free safety from him, which is like just an average,
Yeah,
but
not Lendale or
Lendale
Reggie
White or Reggie. Yeah, I mean,
Matt.
yeah.
So I've got some questions for you, real quick, for you, Tyson. This one is when you were watching Steve Sarkisian, coach Texas, and going against UW. Was it like, of course you want UW to win, but if UW loses, were you going to be Michigan or Texas for Steve?
Well, I'll go back that this last game was like the icy, like was like the cherry on top. And I talked to Kyle about it, where it's like, I want to win a natty. And it's like, but like my Super Bowl was the Pac-12 championship, because I knew that Oregon was good enough that if they got in the Final Four, they would win it.
So it's kind of, yeah.
And so like for me, like whatever happened, and like for my thing is that I don't know how, it's really weird. I'm not so invested this year as like I've been in years past, but it's like, it's been, my mindset has been like, if the other team's better than us, like I'm fine with losing. But the thing is like, it's hard because UW has been so interesting to watch, where I don't think that they've played a full complete game the whole year. Even their Pac-12 championship, they haven't played a full complete game. and going into Texas. But going back to your question, I love Sark. I love him as a play caller. There's times in that game where he made some play calls. I think of like their second or third possession where he drew up that running back screen that went for like 50 yards. And I was like, that was just a great play call. And his ability, and him and Lane Kiffin, you got to think of both ex-USC coaches, both getting fired. But Sark and Lane Kiffin, they are such good play callers, and they are setting things up throughout the game, and they run things to set things up for later in the game. And it's pretty fascinating to watch them, go about their business that way. But yeah, I mean,
but that Oregon, so basically I feel the same way about the Seahawks when they played the Niners in the NFC Championship and beat them. That was my Super Bowl. They went on to play Denver and beat them, but that was like I felt like the real Super Bowl for me was the Niners Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean it goes back to rivalries.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's just like you just have such a more sad. But also, I think you also knew too, like the 49ers were that good that year that if they won, they probably would have won a Super Bowl that year.
Yeah,
and that's how I felt about us in Oregon. Is that for all the money that Uncle Phil spends, he can't buy himself a national championship.
And they played twice, and they still. That's got to feel horrible for those Oregon fans out there.
They forgot what I was going to say, but the Oregon game, the Pac-12 championship, that work week, we decided it was the biggest game and then win in Husky history, even over beating Michigan for a championship.
Really?
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I mean,
the rivalry, all that stuff, and how Oregon 10-point favorites. Everybody thought they were going to win. No, choke on that one.
Hey, have you guys seen what that the Fiji frat in Seattle at UW did?
Huh.
So they put in like $20 a frat guy for them to win the national championship. Like this was like weeks and weeks and weeks ago. It's a payout of $50,000, and they've already announced that whatever they win, they're going to be throwing the biggest party of all time.
So Eric already has tickets.
Yeah,
for
basically.
that.
Yeah. Some of us still, as we approach 40, and some of us over 40, when we go into on the Ave after a game, we definitely stick out like sore thumbs. It's like you got to keep that ball cap on so they don't see that you're not a receding hairline, but just full on bald.
Well, yeah, and plus Eric has got double knee braces over his jeans while he's probably walking the avenue too. And just
why are you walking with a limp, sir? Oh, it's just my gout's flaring up.
Anyway, what's that? The hello, fellow kids. Or whatever. So 5 years ago, we did a podcast in Kyle's living room. It was for the Rose Bowl. Which was a lot of fun. So this is kind of, I sent the text out to our Wordle, which is also turned into kind of, sometimes I play it, but these guys play it all the time. The Daily Dozen trivia group that we text.
It's okay to say what our text thread.
Okay. Well, it started out as the real men of genius. Almost Jesus. The real men of Jesus. No, the real men of genius. And if you know me and Tyson, we've obviously, I've lost my hair the most. Tyson comes in second. This is like Goldilocks. This is really bald. But Kyle had a picture taken by Gabby on an anniversary trip. The lighting was just perfect to make it Kyle look bald. And so I said we changed our name to the Real Bald Men of Genius. Yep. Yeah.
I've got the most hair still though.
You still got the most hair.
By far, yes. Yeah.
But that lighting, I was like surprised. Gabby was like, you know what? Let's position you over here real quick and take another one.
Yeah. Thanks, babe.
So Appreciate it. I got questions for both of you guys. Might be a little rapid fire. You don't have to expound if you don't want to. Definitely can if you want. But it's about this past season for the Washington Huskies, obviously. I'll start with Kyle. What game did you think, this is it, we're going undefeated? Do you remember the moment in the season, maybe after week 3, 4, 5, 6, where you're like, we've got the undefeated look right now?
Yeah, it was last Monday.
That was it.
That was it. Yeah, no, I struggled through the season. I'm on a text thread to just me and my boss, and if you read that text thread, you would laugh your ass off because I'm negative, half glass empty, or glass half empty, all that stuff. We're the worst team, so poorly coached, undisciplined, blah, blah, blah. I didn't think we were going to do it. We're frauds. We were ranked number 4, but we'd lose to the top 10, all that stuff. So yeah, it wasn't until Monday probably.
Really?
And now I've switched to have like ultimate confidence that we're gonna win on Monday.
I like it. Tyson.
Well, we knew. I can't remember when it was. It was SC before Oregon or Oregon after SC. I can't even remember.
Oregon before. Yeah,
I think the big game for me was SC. Beating Oregon was great, but the group of guys went down to that game to go to the Coliseum, and unfortunately I missed it this year, so I missed our away game this year. But that was the big game that I think we circled. That was like, okay, if we can go in undefeated into, go into SC, go to the Coliseum and win that game, I think that we have a real chance of doing something special.
Yeah, I watched that game. Well, like the first half in Costco in Hawaii, and then on the car ride to the resort, like it was spotty reception. It was frustrating, but yeah, no. The game after Oregon was Arizona State. I went to the Arizona State game.
Yeah, that was
the first game I'd gone to since Montana, which we lost.
Oh, really?
Jimmy Lake's the year after COVID, and we lost. First game I went to was Arizona State. We won 15-7. In a year, like we're supposed to just dominate them, and then we went 15-7. And my boss was like, at halftime, he's like, "You need to leave. Get out of there."
Did you leave?
Nope, stayed for the whole thing.
Did you think about it?
A little bit.
I
told my dad, I go, "Dad, if this gets weird, we're leaving."
But you said that with Tyson too. Like, you don't watch the games at Tyson's anymore, or
no? We broke that streak this year.
This year.
Yeah. What game was that?
Was it a couple days ago?
No, it was.
Was it a couple days ago?
It was Cal.
It was a couple days ago.
Yeah, we beat Cal pretty good. It was right after Michigan State.
No, I watched it at my house.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
And then, you missed the Stanford game, and that was Ty's Halloween party. We watched it at Ty's house. I watched the Stanford game there.
I thought we were at. Oh no, we were all sick or something.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember if but
yeah.
I mean it's
Ty's phone was sick too with
his
blurry images.
Yeah,
his phone takes the worst pictures. I mean, it's like comical. It's like he's got to have like an app on there that like
someone made an app.
Okay, it's like some virus.
Do you want to make this look like it's from the 1980s?
Yeah, it's an app. Yeah,
that's the app. What game when they started losing? Maybe they were losing in a game, and you're like, "This is it. This is over. Season's done. We're done. We're frauds." What was? I mean, it sounds like you said that every week,
pretty much. Yeah.
Were you thinking that against when you were there? Were you like, "What? Like, did you?"
Yeah. What are we doing? We're terrible.
15-7. That's like a really good baseball score.
We didn't score.
Terrible.
We didn't score an offensive touchdown. The only reason we won is because of a pick six. Yeah. No, every week. The USC game, I don't think I was like that. But against Oregon, I wasn't like that. But every game after Oregon, besides maybe USC, I was like that. Wazoo, Stanford, Utah. I think those were the last 3 games after SC.
Yeah,
where we were losing to Utah at halftime. Wazoo was way too close. Stanford racked up yards like no other, and the only reason that we might have won anyway, but they dropped a 4th down conversion. Like, we're terrible. Yeah.
My game was Arizona. That was before Oregon, because Arizona wasn't considered good at all. And we were supposed to, I thought we would go in there and wipe them out, but I mean, Arizona was ranked 14. Like, Arizona will be final, it will probably be after their bowl win, a top 10 team at the end of the year, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And they were a lot better, but we had no idea. So and that was week going into Oregon.
Did you go to that game?
No.
Oh.
No, I've been to Arizona before.
I didn't know if that was this.
That's a great story too, because So all the guys flew into Tucson, and I flew in the next day, and so I'm literally walking on the plane, and it literally says, and your flight to Phoenix. And I'm like, well, what the frick? I'm flying to Tucson. And I fly into Phoenix, and it's mom and dad's weekend at Arizona State. Every rental car place is empty. I literally have to van pool it.
Planes, trains, and
I mean,
automobiles.
van pool it from Phoenix to Tucson.
Oh man!
And I mean, literally, it's a packed van. I have 2 German people that don't speak English, and I have 3 hippies that have not showered in like it was, and it was just. But I will tell you, Tucson, like for every Washington kid that goes like to the University of Arizona, like to go to college, it's like, yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Like Tucson is a cool town. It is a cool town. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, and that was actually mom and dad's weekend too when we were there too. So that was a lot of fun. So,
But okay, sorry, I interrupted. But Arizona.
So that was my game. That I thought that we weren't as good as we thought we were, but that all changed the moment we beat Oregon. I was like, okay, we are good. Like, but can we survive? Can we survive? And when we beat SC, it was like, okay, I think we have a real shot at this. We have a real shot at doing something really special.
And so currently then, right now, do you think we're overrated heading into the national championship, or do you think we're underrated heading into the national championship? I'll go with you, Tyson.
Absolutely underrated. I think that the biggest thing, I mean, I think we opened up at 4.5 underdogs in the game. I think what the frustrating is being on the West Coast and you do have an East Coast bias. And I mean, we can go in the argument that Michael Penix should have won the Heisman. But at the end of the day, Heisman's winning a national championship in the same year is not a good stat. I mean, that never happens. So him not winning the Heisman, and then in my way, it's like, okay, now we can just win the national championship.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like seeing Twitter and going, seeing like all the big analysts talking about how good Penix is and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, he's been this good all year. Yeah, he had a couple not so, he didn't have his prolific games, for a little bit of a stretch, but it's like, it's like you got to put a little respect on our name. And I think our defense has gotten a little better, gotten better and better, and kind of a bend, don't break mentality. And towards the end, there was that stretch in some of those games where we didn't give up a touchdown for a couple games in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, yeah, I just, I don't think that we have, but at the same time, the comparison to Oregon. So Oregon went through the conference and just beat up everyone. They beat up everyone, and that's why they were the favorite by 10 points versus UW, because UW just didn't do that. They didn't, and I still think it's the biggest issue of this team, which has been hard, is that there's opportunities where they can step on someone's throat and end a game. They had it twice against Oregon. The first time at home in the Pac-12 championship, where literally they had an opportunity to go up 3 scores, and they just pissed it away. Either they punted or something happened, and they let teams hang around. And the exact same thing happened against Texas. I mean, exact same thing happened at Texas, where you let them hang around without. I mean, we had an opportunity to go up 3 scores twice in the fourth quarter, and we just couldn't put the game away. And my fear always been this season was that you're going to get caught.
Yeah.
When you play a really good team, and when you are gonna let someone hang around, they're going to beat you. And Texas had that opportunity to take it away, and that's why I was so fearful of the final plays in the fourth quarter. I was like, we finally met our match of we couldn't pull it out, and somehow
that last drive was scary as heck. I thought.
Yeah, my wife literally was in the other room, like in the fetal position, like couldn't watch it, and I'm just sitting there, and I yelled a big scream because we had pressure off the Texas left edge, and then he threw it out of bounds, and I thought the time expired, and I was like, we won, and no, we got one more play.
Yeah, I could picture you doing that. I'm guessing your reaction was, of course, this is how it would come down to it. And this is what we're going to do. We're just going to give it up, and then we're going to lose. Like,
I think we've all been seasoned and
Pacific Northwest.
Yes, just Pacific Northwest fans, Mariners,
Everything.
Seahawks,
Sonics even being first round and out with Denver.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But Dumbo.
Huskies, all that stuff. I was just in my head, the slow-mo. Here it is. This is
And I can't
Seattle.
stop. I
This
can't
is
stop
Seattle
it.
sports fandom. This is how it happens.
I had some guys from work say, "Oh my gosh, the Huskies almost couged it," and it's like,
yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
would be a typical Coug moment right
Definitely. And that would be what everyone would say. Everyone would say that. Oh, you guys could do it.
Yeah, that was a series of unfortunate events, though. Like, I've said it for a long time that the Huskies, okay, they're not poorly coached. I think Kalen DeBoer is a great coach. I think Grubb's a great offensive coordinator. Their defensive coaches could probably use some help, but they're poorly coached in the sense that they're so undisciplined and they do stupid things all the time. Trying to jump over the line against Wazoo and block not a meaningless field goal, but a field goal. And then the penalty, they score a touchdown. Stupid. We run in to the frickin' punt returner and give him 15 more yards. Now, the rule where an offensive player gets hurt and the clock stops and doesn't start again until a snap, that's the dumbest rule ever.
Well, unless someone fakes it.
On offense, though.
But you want. Wait, what? What happened with Johnson and all that? What?
Still, the clock stopped.
Well, that's because you're trying to run out the clock.
Correct.
So if you hurt yourself and fake the injury, they have to stop it, right?
No, but the defense gets the choice. So they can say they elect a 10-second runoff or let the clock run. So the defense gets a choice, and Texas was like, you all take the 10-second runoff, please.
Yeah.
And thank you.
So it's I don't know, that rule. I heard some people say it, national guys that were like, that rule just promotes defensive players trying to hurt offensive players at end of games. So that
I
rule's
can
gotta
see.
go.
I can see that. Now,
But I was also pissed at Johnson. Like, I don't care if your leg is
drag
hanging
yourself
by some
off.
skin.
Yeah.
Get your butt off the field somehow.
Or you.
but
a
he
kid.
probably didn't know the rule. I didn't know the rule.
he's a kid, Kyle.
Yeah.
He's a
Still.
child.
He's a grown man.
And he's a grown man. He has a child. He actually
Mhm.
he's a parent.
Yeah, he is a parent.
But it's kind of funny, Kyle, when you start describing about like that undisciplined thing. Like, only thing I can flash back to is like you're describing Pete Carroll and the Seahawks.
Yeah.
But we're talking prime Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times did we watch
Offsides.
Bennett jump
Yeah.
offsides? I mean, Giacomini, the
Mhm.
guy, the instant 15-yard personal foul. But I mean, that's sorry for this interruption break. It's brought to you by Franciscan Hospital.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Ricola.
but like I think that there's a level of it was shocking to me though that game that they didn't get penalized as much. It was just kind of funny, like watching Texas like literally just trip over themselves multiple times for stupid penalties.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I was like, oh, this is us. It's kind of nice to not have those stupid penalties.
See,
But
when you were talking about Sark, I love Sark too, and I'm thankful for what Sark did at UW. Brought him from 0-12 to respectable.
yeah,
And he recruited well. But for as good of an offensive play caller as he is, and what he does with his offense is, man, did he pass himself right out of that game. Because they could have just run it.
yeah, no, but so like I rewatched that with that mindset in place. And what happened is that in the first half, particularly, I mean, you remember that I think they only ran like 6 plays in the third quarter. Like we dominated time of possession.
Yeah.
But in the first half, I really noticed is that when they had a lot of weird not negative plays. Like, yeah, they'd get 15-yard, 10-yard runs,
Mm-hmm.
but occasionally they'd only get 2 or 3, or they'd have a -1, -2. And where they really sucked, and I mean, I don't know the analytics of it, but they really sucked on second down, forcing them to go third and long.
They had untimely penalties. Hold here, false start there, which put them into second and long.
Second and long. And so I mean, yeah, they'd gash you like multiple times of like these 10, 15-yard runs. Like, oh yeah, just keep on running it. And then all of a sudden they get stuffed, or, they get 1 or 2 yards. And then it's like that second and long, like it's almost like, and I will agree that Sark didn't really know what to do with, like, do I pass or do I, but every time they run that RPO or that, it's a run pass option. And what happened is that anytime that Hampton, our strong safety, would come down from that high safety look, come dropping into the box, Ewers automatically would pull it and throw it. And I think multiple passes got knocked down at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, 3.
And so it that is the math, which is anytime you bring in the box, you're throwing. Anytime you say high with 2 safeties, you're running. But yeah, it did look like, they just gashed us, but there were times when they got off schedule, that's when they just couldn't make it work. A lot of third and longs
Right.
for them. So
Currently, Kyle, underrated, overrated?
National media, I think they're underrated. I saw way too many instances from retweets this week from Husky fans or, Husky beat writers, whatever, Dogman, of national guys basically saying, I didn't know Penix was this good. Well, it's because you don't stay up and watch him.
Yeah.
And what pissed me off is like, you're a Heisman voter.
Yeah.
And you didn't stay up and watch the Huskies. I get it. We're on late, but do your job.
So do you think he deserved it?
I do. That could be the homer
Absolutely.
in me, but like, if you put him and Jaden Daniels on the same field, well, just watch the game against Texas. He's the best player on the field. He's the reason they won the game.
the Heisman is a dumb award, in my opinion. And it goes back to Christian McCaffrey. And I love the fact that Christian McCaffrey is doing well in the NFL, because then like this doubles down like my thought. Christian McCaffrey broke Barry Sanders' record, which everyone thought that his record would never be touched. He broke it at Stanford, and Stanford was good, and he doesn't win the Heisman. How does Christian McCaffrey not win the Heisman? And they gave it to an Alabama running back to the
Lamar
state.
Jackson.
But it wasn't even one of their great running backs at Alabama, because he's from the SEC. They get all the media. I mean, like the moment they snub Christian McCaffrey, it's like, this is dumb. This is an award that really no one no one pays attention to. They just, it's dumb, because it's like, and
you have to be an SC guy if you're going to win a Heisman, in my opinion, because they're a national program.
It's a national program, national brand. And then even the fact that Ohio State's receiver was even in the finalists, and it's like, that's, I mean,
he was good last year too, so they probably care. I mean,
but I think Troy Franklin from even Oregon had better stats, and Dunze had better stats than he did.
Yeah.
And I granted, Ohio State had a down year in their quarterback year, but it's like, but then if you even go down my disdain for the Heisman voting, it goes all the way back even to Nebraska's Adonai Sue, where he was the most dominant player in college football, without question. He was the most dominant player in college football. He was a D lineman, but it's just like the MVP in NFL. It's like it's a quarterback award.
Quarterback for the most part,
and it's like well. If Lamar Jackson win it, is it a running back or is it a quarterback?
It's quarterback.
It's a quarterback award. So,
last play against Texas, was it pass interference? You kind of saw the cornerback. I want to say, or was it safety? Corner rest his left arm on the shoulder, but he got air and kind of got air before he rested the arm on the shoulder and then smacked it away. Refs didn't call it. After the replays, do you think that should have been reviewed, or do you think it was football in the moment? Just it was
based on the rest of the game, they didn't call many pass interferences that they could have. I think they called one the entire game when Rome got tackled,
which ended up. But by the way, that was the best. That was the best play for Texas in the whole second half.
Yeah. Because
if we catch that, it's a perfect example. If we catch that, we're in field goal range. We kick a field goal, we go up 3 scores.
Yep, we didn't score on that drive.
No.
So, what was the question? What was I saying?
Do you think it was PI?
No.
Oh, no. Let him play. It had no bearing on what happened. Jackson was there to make the play the whole time. No.
I didn't even know that was even considered, even PI. I didn't even know anyone even considered it.
They've been kind of semi-debating it, almost like not we are right now, but there's people saying, "Oh, that's PI. That's PI. That was PI."
No. I mean, look. I think people forget is that a DB has every right to the ball as an offensive player. It just happens to be that a lot of times the DB's backs are turned, or they're looking at but the way
They have to go through the offensive guy to get the ball or whatever.
But the way that he was setting up, his eyes and his whole body was looking at the quarterback the whole time. So I mean, his break was on the ball. By the way, that was a beautiful ball. Like if he doesn't break that up, it's a touchdown, and it's reminiscent.
Some are also saying that if he doesn't float it and throws it on a rope, that it's probably a touchdown.
Possibly. It kind of reminded me of the Steelers, Arizona. Who is the
Super Bowl?
Super Bowl.
Yeah, Super Bowl. Roethlisberger to Santonio Holmes.
I think it is Holmes. Yeah.
Holmes.
Very similar like that.
I think Holmes got the MVP. I think that was a trivia, a dozen trivia. What's your prediction with how the national championship is going to go with the Huskies versus the Wolverines? Low scoring
my prediction,
game, high score. I mean, like this. Yeah,
I think it'll be the over under that I saw was 55, and I think that's a good number. Mine comes with a caveat: if the Huskies can protect Penix like they did against Texas, like they've done all year long. I mean, he's the least sacked quarterback in the country. Huskies won the Joe Moore Award for the best offensive line in the country. If they can protect him, not even close. We win by 17.
That's very confident. I just
you have to look at who Michigan's. They have Michigan played six of their opponents were in the bottom 13 in the country in offense.
Yeah, I don't.
They haven't played anybody.
The thing is I just don't know. I mean, here we are playing for a national championship, and I'm about to say I don't have enough faith that we could put a team away and win by 17. Like, what was the stat during the game?
Any team at all?
Oh, like, were they?
No, we don't cut heads off. We slit throats and let them bleed out.
Wow, dark.
Yeah. We let them think they have a chance till the very end, and then they lose.
What was the stat they shared? Like, it was like the first team in college football where they've won 10 games under less than 10 points, like ever.
10, their last
10 games they've won by less than 10 points.
Yeah,
it's insane, and it's like, it'd be nice to beat a team by
just blow them out.
It'd be nice to be up by three scores.
Yeah,
it'd
be nice to be end of the third quarter and be like, oh, okay, this thing's going away. But say we're up by 17 at the end of the third quarter, I'm still on pins and needles.
I am too. I firmly believe that the Huskies have not played a full complete game. They've, which is kind of scary in some ways, is that for how dominant they've been in some key areas. I'm very, very terrified of the run. I feel that going back to my old Husky days of Christian McCaffrey and Toby Gerhart and the Stanford machine of just literally them lining up an elephant formation and just running it down our throats and us not able to do anything. And I'm a little petrified of that. But at the same time, I'm not. I that concerns me. Is their running game, Michigan's running game? Because McCarthy's arm and I'm not as scared of their passing attack. But can they win the game by being possession football, limit our touches? They control the line of scrimmage. They control the ball. That is a concern. But then at the same time, like, Braylon Trice has been a stud, and he had an unbelievable game in the Sugar Bowl. So there's just a lot of I mean, I just kind of talk myself up, like I get nervous about every game, from the Oregon game to the to the Texas game. I just like I don't know how we're gonna match up, how we're gonna do it, but the one thing that I just absolutely love about this team is our offense and Grubb. I think Grubb, as a play caller and as the schematics, I know it's coaches, it's his offense, but Grubb is, I think, him as a play caller has been pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's kind of a savant.
Yeah, and and that the question is like, what's his next phase? I mean, he I think he's verbalized that he wants to be a head coach, and like how many more years do we get? One more year with them,
right.
Or
who are you talking about?
Coach Grubb.
Okay,
yeah.
So I was going to ask you about DeBoer, but we'll get there in a second. So real quick, give me the final. Just give me the final score. Your prediction, Tyson.
34-24 Huskies.
I'm not going to.
Do it.
I can't.
Do it.
I can't.
Do it.
I have a number in my head, but I can't give it to
Do
you.
it.
I already said I think we're going to win by.
He thinks
Do
they're
it.
going by 17. Why is like some unspoken rule?
Why
over
can't
there?
you do this?
Yeah, a superstition.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
All right. I real quick, I got more questions, but I did post recording a Husky podcast with Tyson and KP. Can't tag any of them on Facebook. If you got questions, let me know. Short notice. Sarah Johnson said you should have Greg on for this one. Greg being her dad.
Yep.
Big Husky
Big Husky
fan.
fan.
Seth Pullman says, did Michael Penix grow up rough because his last name was so close to penis? Original Seth. And will the Seahawks draft him? Do you guys where do you think he's in the round? Because the Seahawks have a late round. Do you think he's going to last that long? Or do you think
No.
he's going to get snatched up pretty quick?
I had this exact conversation today at work. Michael Penix, with his last performance, and we looked at the mock drafts, he moved up into the first round. Now, this is why I love that we didn't play in the Rose Bowl. Everybody wanted to play in the Rose Bowl. And I love that we were indoors. Michael Penix stats in 70-degree weather or better, or something like 60 to 70-degree weather or better, are unmatched. They're incredible.
Wow.
In the games he struggled.
Nerd alert.
I know. Arizona State, Oregon State, Utah. Numbers weren't great. It was windy. It was cold. Guess where this is? It's indoors.
It's in Houston.
No wind.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
Superdome. Right? Superdome?
No.
No.
NRG Stadium.
They were in the Superdome.
Yeah.
Now they're NRG.
I'm loving the fact that it's indoors on turf,
So-
basketball on
So
grass.
people are saying Falcons.
well,
and
I
he
saw
would-
the Raiders.
He would do well. He would do well with the Raiders too.
We were literally looking up teams that play most of their games indoors. The Raiders play in a division with Kansas City, so that would suck. The Raiders are indoors. The Chargers are indoors, and Denver's outside. So he'd have to play maybe 2 cold games a year. But other than that, but the NFC South was the best location for him.
Yeah. For sure. Where do you think he's getting drafted?
I think the question was, do the Seahawks draft him? I think we go back to the real question is this Pete Carroll's last year? And I am a huge Pete Carroll fan. I've been pro Pete even during the Russell Wilson saga. But I don't know. I'm interested to see if the Seahawks keep Pete or not. I think that he's Pete Carroll, and if you listen to some of his stuff to the media in the last couple of weeks, it's very uncharacteristic of him. He's come at people. I don't know if he's getting too old or he's getting senile.
Get off my lawn.
But I think he's gonna have to clean house on. I think he's gonna. I don't think Clinton Hurt's gonna come back as the D coordinator. I think he's really I don't know if he comes back.
Okay, so I got a 2-part
So
question.
the thing is, if Pete's there, I don't think they draft him. And that's not a knock against Pete.
Right. He's listening to this podcast. He heard what Kyle said.
Yeah,
He's like,
I love
"Dude,
Pete.
Outside, I ain't doing this.
Yeah, no, he should.
Always
he would
compete,
not do well
baby.
in Seattle. I have a couple things to say. Just listening today, I listened to Lock and Forward today, and he said, what I take from it, he said that Jody Allen was going to sell a team in 2025. Jody Allen's not going to fire Pete, and she's the only one that can. She's going to sell the team in 2025 anyway, so I would say that it's 80-20, 90-10 that he's back.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to have him back. I think he's building a good culture. But there is something amiss in what's going on. And I don't know if it's their scheme and the players and the new scheme. And I think that I think that you're going to see a lot of coach movement. And for me, if you're going to do all that coach movement, then you're committing yourself to a couple of years more of seeing it through. And I just don't, that's where it just all comes down to Pete in that regards too. But
do you think? Sorry,
no.
Okay. Do you think, because we're playing against Jim Harbaugh, and do you think DeBoer? I mean, it's Monday after the Seahawks finish their season on Sunday, more than likely. Sorry. Do you think DeBoer will give him a guest pass and help coach just to get in Jim Harbaugh's head from the Seahawks versus Niners and get some PTSD
No,
going.
Pete's going to be
and
there to help
rattle.
with clock management, clock and timeout management, and challenge play management.
I want to challenge Pete. We're in college. We don't get a challenge flag.
Okay. Do you think they deserve a two? Were you gonna say something?
No.
Do you think that they deserve a 2 week, that both teams, a 2 week rest like the Super Bowl teams get? Because currently there were some injuries, especially at the end of the game with Johnson, where if he had 2 weeks to recover rather than 1 week, it would be a better national championship game. But do you think you would lose the momentum of college football, and that's why they have it the next week?
I love it just the way it is.
I like it too, and I think the hard thing is looking at. I mean, we're talking about college athletes. They play a night game, a late game in New Orleans, fly all the way home, and then they're flying all the way back to Texas. But then I think to myself, well, this is what you signed up for by joining the Big Ten. I mean, get used to it, and
the kids, they bounce back.
and
me.
But the thing is like they're kids too. Like, I mean, like that's the thing is like, but we're getting to a point where college football is now like with the NIL, and like it is a profession, it is a job and stuff like that. But I've always said, like with high school players, I mean, your starting quarterback's a breakup away from his girlfriend to losing his mind for the next couple of weeks. I mean, and it's legit. I mean, when you got high school kids, I mean, like you have those things, and at the same time, in college, you still have those factors. I mean, you have kids dating, they're not married, like they're, the party scene and like all that fun stuff. And then you got classes. I mean, it's all great. And I love watching them on the field, but they are still kids. But the NIL thing is really changing your perspective on, okay, they are, they're considered professional athletes now.
Yeah.
So did the NIL, you guys know more than I do. This has probably already been discussed. There's probably already an answer to this. But I was like, I wonder if the NIL was really the driving factor of how all of these teams that were part of the Pac-10, and then, we need to get it on a bigger stage. We need more money. We need more TV revenue.
That's the reason why you had the breakup of the Pac-12 was their inability to land a lucrative contract for their TV rights. SEC, and I called this years and years and years ago. That I said,
okay, Craig,
what was going to happen?
What
what's going to happen is that the conferences are going to get so big and so powerful and so with so much money that you're going to see it come down. That eventually you'll lose conferences in general, and they'll have and the NCAA will have no control over of regulating these teams because they'll make so much money.
Yeah.
And
you might not even have an NCAA anymore.
Because
when it comes to football, at least.
And that's where you've read I've read some stuff where the NFL will consolidate and you'll have a Northwest division, a Southwest, and then a Northeast and then Southeast, and like almost create college football as farm teams. But the thing is that won't happen because colleges are making so much money. And like we talk about, this is what's so sad about WSU, is that when you lose football revenue, it's not just football. And it's like, oh, football. It's like, but that's revenue that gets spread across our athletic department, from girls cross country to girls soccer to the baseball team. Those sports across the board do not generate revenue.
Right.
For what the scholarships you're not selling tickets to a cross country meet, and I'm not taking anything against a cross country runner, but it's like they aren't generating revenue, and you're flying them across the country.
Please, plug the ears.
But I mean, but the thing is, that's what is so sad about it, is that Oregon State and WSU are going to lose that TV revenue, and it's going to kill their programs.
Yeah.
And you wanted to, and like for me, like I'm rooting for them, but but the whole reason why we going into the NIL is like, but it's kind of funny though, because like, so for instance, the Huskies lost a quarterback recruit from one of the Dakotas last year who flipped last second to Ohio State. And he was kind of just had some quotes where he talked about how he had more NIL money at UW than he had at Ohio State. But the reason he wanted to go to Ohio State was to be coached better and to go in the NFL, which was a knock on DeBoer. And
oops.
It's like, and so
which he played pretty well when they scored 3 points against Missouri.
Yeah, but I think I don't know how.
Kyle just sitting there in his sofa, just staring at that guy. Yeah. Oh, you're so good. You're so much better than us.
But also, I think that the NI has helped college football, dude, because you got people like Caleb Williams, where I mean, it sounds like an arrogant. He is the number one prospect quarterback by far. Like he is. I love Penix, but Caleb Williams.
But Bo Nix?
Oh, Bo Nix is no. I mean, Bo Nix is a great. But here, I'll put my asterisks. I am terrible at picking college players that transition to the pros. Terrible.
Who do you think? Just real quick, you don't have to go deep, but who do you think? Who are you like? Yeah, this guy's gonna crush it.
Just a lot of players. Just like I think they're gonna do well, and then even
like
players
when we drafted Aaron Curry.
Yeah, I mean,
loved him.
Can't miss, and it's like, I don't know, and that's what's just so crazy about where it's kind of, I hate saying it, kind of luck.
Coin flip
of like how a prospect. I mean, when you get to the 5th and 4th rounds,
who knows?
Who knows? I mean, like people were like, "Oh, we knew that Russell Wilson was going to be." Like, no, you didn't. Like, no, you didn't know that Russell. I mean, like, yeah, you're going to put all your money on a 5'11" quarterback from Wisconsin. Yeah, go get out of here.
Oh, we do. We saw it.
But
did they play the Huskies? They played the bowl game. Who did they play?
They played Oregon.
Who played?
They played
Wisconsin?
Oregon in the Rose Bowl. Wisconsin played Oregon in the Rose Bowl and lost.
That was like LaMichael James, right?
Yeah, Darren Thomas, LaMichael James
with Russell.
Yeah.
Russell's senior year?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Gosh, I thought we played.
But I think he set the single season record for completion percentage.
Possibly.
But
I think Bo Nix, like I think Bo Nix has been a great college quarterback, and I can't take anything about him. He runs that offense so efficiently, but his offense, what they've asked him to do was to put the ball in playmakers' hands, not far down the field, and let them run. And they are terrifying. I mean, like when you're throwing a 4-yard slant and all of a sudden he takes it to the house, and it's like, well, yeah, he just threw an 80-yard touchdown. No, he threw a 4-yard slant and it turned into an 80-yard touchdown. So what they say,
air yards for Penix and Nix are
it's insanely
black and
different.
white, if you will.
Do you think? What do you think will happen next year when the Huskies are in the Big Ten?
Bring on Iowa, baby! I have adopted Iowa as my team.
Your rivalry?
No, Iowa is my team. I like good old fashioned Big Ten football. I like good defense. I could care less if it's 10-7. I love it. I love watching football.
You could be the offensive coordinator there and score more points than
possibly. Yeah, it's
another one of the teams.
So, but I don't think that people realize that going to Madison, Wisconsin, or Minnesota, or Ames, Iowa, in October and November is hard pass. I mean, that is going to be brutal. I mean,
I went to a Green Bay Seahawks game in Green Bay in December. I was inside by halftime. We got our butts kicked, so that helped. And Russell threw like 3 picks in the first half. So I just
and you're like, of course he does. I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out.
My brother-in-law went to the Seahawks Minnesota playoff game where it was like the coldest game in history.
Oh yeah.
And he said it was crazy that like all the like locals would bring in cardboard. And he's like, what are they doing? They literally would put cardboard on the ground and stand on top of it because it would
insulate their feet.
It would insulate their feet just enough on it. And he just said,
interesting.
Yeah, I was just like, he's like, people are just bringing cardboard. And it's like, how? And he just goes, it was the coldest.
I mean, the coldest games I've been to have been in Pullman.
Yeah,
but that's it.
I will say that one of the coolest games I've been to was at the high school game a year ago when they played up in Bellingham against Linden, and it was like 40-mile-per-hour winds, and it was like 32 degrees, and it was. I mean, I had a blanket on, and it was still going through the blanket, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is like, and I'm just like,
it's supposed to be cold next week. I'm scared of next week. What do you think will happen with DeBoer? Do you think how long will he coach the Huskies? And do you see him as the head coach for the next 3, 4, 5 years? Does he jump NFL? Does he go to a bigger college? I mean, we're in the Big Ten now, so what do you think?
The best thing that's happened for us with the DeBoer is that his daughter is a softball player and has signed with UW to play softball. That is the best thing that we could possibly have. But that doesn't mean that the big boys are going to be coming and they're going to they'll offer him $9 million, $10 million to come coach their football team.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to take. Jonathan Smith just got 7.5.
Yeah, to
go to Michigan State, so it's going to take 10.
If he wins a natty, I don't think he leaves. I really don't think he. I would be shocked. But the rumor was before we even got to this level is that Harbaugh's out.
Yeah.
And that DeBoer was like candidate number 1
Midwest guy
for the Michigan job.
Yeah.
But I also don't think that Ryan Day at Ohio State is there much longer either. I think he's on a hot seat too.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the coolest thing about DeBoer is taking an NAIA school and having success there and walking his way up. That is the coolest story. Is that's just not the path that coaches take. You know, if you want to be an up and coming coach, Dan Lanning at Oregon. I mean, he didn't start at a D3, D2. I mean, it was D1 coordinator, GA, work your way up. You know, assistant at the big programs, and then you get a big job like at Oregon. But it's like to go to NAIA, which is crazy because when I was at Central, my first college football game as a redshirt freshman, we played Carroll College. And Carroll College was the rival of Sioux Falls.
Sioux Falls, yeah.
And so basically Sioux Falls won it or Carroll College won it. And Carroll College is out of Helena, Montana. But it's like, NAIA is, that's below Division III.
It's a step above high school football.
Yeah, it's 2A, 3A, and 4A.
Yeah, I mean, because think about it, like Whitworth, the PLUs, the Linfields of the world, that's Division III. And then we don't have too much D2 in our school at state just besides Central. But then Division I AA, which is great. We have some of the best in the country in that Big Sky conference.
Mm-hmm.
So
we got Patreon Jamie Roberts who just sent a message for a question. He said, and this is more, if you're listening, which I know you're not, but if you're listening, he says, how many national title games have the Cougars played in? How many national titles do the Cougars have? And that is all. Those are his only questions. So, I mean, maybe you guys...
Quick answer for you, Jamie. 0.
Okay. Tyson, anything to add?
And 0.
No, I can't wait for them to start counting Mountain West Conference titles.
The South Puget
Hey,
SPSL.
Coug fans, have fun going to Reno. Have fun going to Ogden, Utah.
Yeah.
Fun.
Kirk Herbstreit, is that how you say his name?
Yep.
He said that the Rose Bowl should be the national championship game every year. It should be, that's where the national championship should be played. Do you guys agree or disagree?
Have you been to the Rose Bowl?
I have. I went when we lost to Ohio State in like 2019 or something. Brownings last year.
Yeah.
Oh, Bengals. Rough.
It was rough.
It was rough.
It was a business trip.
That was that the game where Taylor Rapp was out and they looked like crap in the first half and then they put it together in the second half and still lost.
Yeah. I think, oh gosh, I'm pretty sure maybe the safety that we put in was Alex Cook.
Possibly, and gave up a huge play,
huge
touchdown.
Then also made a huge play in the Oregon game last year.
Huge.
Yeah.
Didn't he knock out Bo Nix last year?
Yeah. Hurt his ankle.
Travis.
So,
trust me, I've watched
Rose
watched
Bowl?
all the Oregon games.
Rose Bowl national
The granddaddy of them all. But
Yeah.
no, I don't think so. I like the Rose Bowl just being what it is.
Because the hard thing with the Rose Bowl is
If
so much
Keith
tradition.
Jackson was the announcer still for the Rose Bowl, all day.
But they got the
All day
parade.
long.
I mean, they got the cool.
But
I
the
mean,
hard thing is that
the
you
Sugar
can't-
Bowl
you-
had a
you-
parade.
You can't do that. Is by the way, did you guys see that thing of they were showing the downtown New
Yes.
Orleans where the gal flashed and she
Yeah.
flashed on national TV?
Yeah.
Just like
ESPN cutting back in from commercial, and they're walking with a camera down Bourbon Street, and the chick
God.
flashed.
I've never been to
I'll
New
Google
Orleans.
that.
I've heard New Orleans is a cool town, so that's actually a place I want to go visit. But
They sell Chevys and GMCs down there. It's an
I actually
easy
know
trip.
a couple. I know a couple Chevy dealers
There you
down
go.
there.
Yeah,
one
check
of
them out. Kick
one-
some tires.
One of the biggest Corvette dealers in the South is down there, and
All
I know
right,
them.
Yeah.
So, but but I think you can't do it with a pageantry because it is a January 1st thing.
Yeah,
like,
that's
and
true.
so as long as you make it one of you, I mean, it always will be part of one of the bowl games into the what is it, the 12 next year? What we have.
Yeah,
So
it'll be part of the playoff.
mhm.
Is it always going to be first, fourth, or first seed versus fourth seed and second versus third, or because
It's a 12-person, and the first 4 get buys.
Next year goes to a 12-team playoff.
oh, completely?
Yeah,
Just
the
like
first 4 team gets buys, and then it's an 8-team playoff to get into
all the guys got together and said, "Hey, we can make a lot of money if we
Yeah.
just extend this
Just
out."
gotta-
Just like the NFL,
Yeah.
just like the NFL is a nonprofit, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I think we're going to add a 17th game because
Yeah.
you know that really matters a lot."
and an extra week of playoffs.
Yeah, and add another team in there too. So
Yeah.
it's just like, it's, you know, if there's money to be made, they're going to make
Dude,
it.
if that's true and college football can end right at the same time March Madness starts, I'd be happy. It'd be perfect.
No, that's too long. That's the other thing is like people, yeah, they're kids, but like this is a grind. I mean, like
Yeah.
their 2-a-days were in like August,
Yeah,
and they're
July
practicing.
probably too. Yeah,
Practicing. I mean, yeah, you're doing your workouts and stuff like that, but like, I remember like playing football. Like I was just like, even in high school, and even college, I was like, all right, I'm done. Like that was so nice about high school. It's like, okay, I'm going into the next sport. Like I'm ready to
Mhm.
move on.
Yeah.
But it's like it is like it is a grind. Beat
We-
the crap out of each other, and then it's like, you know,
Can we get a quick stat on your records at EHS?
Actually, I thought some of my records were going to be in jeopardy with the 2A.
Which were?
I'm the all-time leading scorer, 42 career touchdowns. I thought for sure, and they've only had, I think that they haven't had a 2-time 1,000-yard rusher since me. They've had
Wow.
1,000-yard rushers, but I don't think they've had 2-time 1,000-yard
Thought
rushers.
Watterson was going to get it.
No, he
Not
was
a
he was a
2A.
he was a receiver,
Oh.
but the thing is they've had really good running backs every year, but they've had a stable where they've had the senior gets his load. But the thing is if we're going to talk about high school football, Mark Gunderson's done a fantastic job these last couple of years, but we're going to be moving up to 3A next year, and it's going to be tough. You're not going to be playing the Fosses of the world. You're going to play good teams every
Shout out
week.
Foss.
Yeah. Shots at Foss.
No, but actually, you know, I was talking to some of the some friends, and they actually emailed the head coach after the game and just said he's doing a good job. Because I mean, that's the toughest coaching, and that's where the best coaching is when it's easy to coach when you win.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. But it's when you get absolutely just destroyed week in, week out, and you show up to practice and those kids show up, which is like
Mhm.
amazing. And like, I think there's like this huge like thing with youth sports and stuff like that. Like, every kid's going to go to college, and it's like, they're not. 1% of all kids are going to go play sports in college. 1%.
Yeah.
So it's like let's enjoy it for what it is, which is just fun. And it's like, let the kids be the kids. And like, but the fact is like those kids from Foss that are showing up and they're getting beat 70-0 every week. If they won a game, I'm sorry, Foss, but whatever. But when you're losing that bad, but those kids are showing up, like, I mean, like in the heart of the sport, like kudos to them. And that's where like the story of Anna Cordes winning the state title at 2A is the coolest story. 4 years ago, they couldn't even field a varsity team. They had no football program at that school. And within 4 years, they win a state title. That is awesome.
Kind of like DeBoer with the Huskies.
Kinda. I mean, just thank God Jimmy Lake punched a kid. Like, I'm so thankful. Like, that is
We're not
like,
fans of violence on this show, except when Jimmy Lake punches kids.
it punches a kid and he's out of here. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how Jimmy Lake had the keys to a well-oiled machine from Coach Pete, and he just. But there's a lot of different things we could talk about.
I heard a question on a podcast recently that asked the most random person that could take credit for the Huskies winning a national championship, like the most far-fetched person.
It's what Jimmy Lake was the.
And no, the answer wasn't Jimmy Lake. One of the answers was the AD at USC, who hired Sark instead of Peterson. And then the other answer was the offensive coordinator that Jeremy Pruitt hired that said Penix was signed to go to Tennessee. And then they hired a new offensive coordinator, and the offensive coordinator said he didn't want Penix. So Penix decommitted and went to Indiana, where then he met up with DeBoer and then transferred to Washington. So it was the offensive coordinator that didn't want Penix can take credit for the Huskies winning a national championship.
You want my answer?
Yeah,
to
no,
that? Like,
I just
who
was-
the most.
That's interesting.
It's COVID. That's what I think the most unsung heroes. It's allowed us to have 6-year seniors
Yeah.
and those kids to have, like I'm a huge, like when it comes to teams, like culture is huge. Like I don't think people understand like how important a good winning culture and a good locker room can be. And that's the thing that I think is that really sets this Husky team apart, that because we don't see it. You can't put your finger on it. But I mean, like when you have as many 6-year seniors as they have that have been through, I mean, think about it. I mean, they've been through 3 coaches and they've been through COVID. And they've been through, they've been through a lot, and that's what's really, really cool, And I would say that
I think they have 13 of them.
It's insane. I think like it was like out of the final 4 teams, like we have 13, and like the other 3 combined had like 4.
Yeah,
and it's like,
well, you look at that like when you watch March Madness, and you get the Northern Iowa team or the who's that team that had the sister. The old lady,
Chicago, Illinois,
Chicago.
Like it, yeah.
They're loaded with seniors that have been through 4 years of college. They're grown men at this point. They're 22, 23 years old, and they played together for 4 years, all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't think that team led, athlete led versus coach led is just, and I think that as a coach like DeBoer, I mean, like there's only so much X's and O's that you can do. I mean, like X's and O's, you can run the play, but if you're not going to execute it, or if you're not going to be like Penix, who can put the ball like the only spot that a receiver can catch it, it's like, okay, that's elite. I mean you're going to win games because of that.
There's the X's and the O's, but you got to have the Jimmies and the Joes.
They do.
So, last question. We're shutting it down. We've been an hour and 15 minutes. We do shout outs. So instead of shout outs that we do at the end of every episode, we're going to do, you have to give an MVP award to the Husky player that you think, for the season got you here, but it can't be Penix, it can't be Johnson, it can't be Odunze. Gosh. Odunze.
See, this is another thing. Like the national media called him Rome Odunze. Come on.
You can't give it to those 3.
Jack Westover.
And what position is he playing?
He's a tight end. He has just been big play Jack, man. He is
huge catches, big moments.
And he's just that guy. Yeah. I mean, like he just
former walk-on.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, like he's just been. Everything around.
You've lit up. Your eyes.
Just like everything about him is like. I mean, he makes some great catches. I mean, he blocks. I mean, he just does all those little things that you just got to appreciate. But yeah, Kyle,
you agree?
So we're talking season.
I
will go with. I'm going to give you 2, and I'm going to give you 1 for the season, and 1 for the national championship game.
Ooh.
Carson Bruner, linebacker. In those close games that we played down the stretch, he was huge. Played really well. Had a bunch of tackles. Tackled well when we don't tackle well at all. And then for the championship game, knowing what Michigan does and what Michigan does well, and I think he has to play well, and it'll go unsung. Not going to have many tackles in the books, but it's going to be Tuli. Latuli Nasanoa, if you need to know how to say his name. Number 91.
I do.
Defensive tackle. He's our run stuffer. He's got to play well, and if we can stop the run, he's going to be a big reason. And he's not going to win any MVP awards. He's not going to win any stat awards, nothing, but he's got to play well, and if he does,
yeah. Well, he's listening to this right now on the flight down to Houston.
They leave Friday.
He's sitting right next to Tyson. Tyson says, "Hey, listen to this podcast." we just fast forward to an hour.
That they're
13.
not flying Southwest and having a layover in Vegas. Bet my life on it.
They're flying that nice chartered purple and gold Alaska airline.
Gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Gorgeous.
I did see that the coaches were on a red eye that night.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And then I saw a picture Softy retweeted, or somebody tweeted at Softy and said he drove by the stadium last night, and you can see up into the windows. And the picture was of inside the office, there was a Michigan game on, and there was a coach watching. It was like 1 a.m. in the morning. So
Getting ready.
yeah,
Firing them up.
I mean, I'm watching
That's
film too. So
Probably an AI generated photo, which is great. Husky coach watching Michigan film at 1 a.m. And they're like, this is it.
type it into Chat GTP and see,
Killed it.
GPT and see what happens.
All right, go Huskies. Final score again, 34-24 Tyson.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it lower. It's going to be, I'll say 24. I'll say close, 24-23. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it's going to be a
How are you going to
army.
feel about that? You're going against your Barstool Prez
Dude,
team. Are you?
It's hard.
Did you see Brandon Walker take his words back?
Yeah. Well,
What'd
it's
he
like
say?
I didn't watch much of Husky before.
But now is Dave Portnoy trolling with the Huskies? A great team, good team. I think he's serious.
I think the thing about Portnoy, which is you love or hate him, is he is
Kyle loves him.
Hate him.
is that he's not he is just he doesn't care. He just that's who he is.
Mm-hmm. He's got enough money now not to care.
Or like the fact that he just loses coffee mugs in his house. He forgets where he
That's
puts them.
so good too. What a hard thing.
Yeah, must have a small house.
So I'm saying 24-23 Huskies.
Not telling you.
Not going to jinx it.
No.
Kyle's not
Will
gonna
you write
jinx
it down?
No.
No, I'll tell you after we're off of this
Authentically,
thing.
you'll tell us.
I'll tell you when we're off the podcast,
Oh, okay.
and you can go ahead and say it.
I'll
on
say.
the
I'll say.
next
I'll
one.
send it to the Patreons out there.
Yeah,
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Go Huskies.
Go Dogs.
go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Welcome to the greatest of the greatest. A podcast that you never knew you needed. With interviews from people you have never met, or maybe you have once or twice. Asking questions and knowing more than you want to know about them. You are listening